So what does ITIL provide? Well, there's a lot of misconceptions about the ITIL framework, and so we're going to talk about that in this lecture. What exactly does ITIL provide and what it doesn't provide, or what it is not? So first let's start with what does it provide? Well, the ITIL provides guidance for IT service management. So it's not IT service management itself, but it's how we can perform that IT service management. Now, the other thing it provides is flexibility. ITIL gives us great flexibility because it is not a rule or regulation. It's also a comprehensive framework, so it gives us a lot of ability to use this framework to perform our IT service management, and this framework is actually very flexible and efficient for us to change the way that we're going to do things in the future. Now, ITIL also provides a compilation of best practices, and we'll talk more about best practices in a separate lecture. We're going to talk all about it. But the idea behind best practices are these are the things in industry that other industries are doing or other organizations are doing. We take those best practices, the best things that they're doing and the good things that they're doing, and we incorporate them into our own organizations. Now, ITIL gives us a framework for doing that, and that's one of the great benefits is this compilation of best practices. ITIL is also a vendor-neutral framework. So what does that mean? Well, the fact that it's vendor neutral means that it's not tied to a specific system or operating system or functionality. So this isn't Microsoft trying to sell you another operating system or Cisco trying to sell you a router. ITIL doesn't care what you use as far as your routers, switches, firewalls, servers, or any of that stuff. It can all be used inside the framework because it's vendor neutral. And finally, ITIL provides a large amount of software selections to help you when you try to select a tool that you want to use to do ITIL in the future or do IT service management. So it gives you a lot of selection and a lot of flexibility in that method as well. Now, what are some things that ITIL is not? Well, let's start with this. ITIL is not a standard. Okay? It is not a standard, which means it hasn't gone through the academic rigor or the conventions or anything else that's required to become a standard. Like the ISO 20,000 standard, it went through a lot to become that standard, and it is a gold standard. It is great. ITIL is not that. Now, does that make ITIL bad? No. But the good thing about the fact that it's not a standard is that it doesn't have to be followed explicitly. The other thing ITIL is not it's not a regulation or compulsory action. So this isn't like a law that the federal government had put out like Sarbanes-Oxley that you must follow these steps. ITIL is a best practice and a recommendation, not compulsory actions. The other thing is ITIL is not a product that you can buy. Now, there are things for ITIL that you can buy, such as software or books or even educational training courses like this one. But ITIL itself is not something you buy. It's a framework, it's a knowledge, it's a way of doing things. It's not just a product you buy off the shelf, and nobody's trying to sell you this product. The last thing is, and it's the most important thing in my opinion, is ITIL is not a substitute for vision, leadership, or management. Now, that's really key, because a lot of people think they can take ITIL, throw it into an organization, everything's going to run smooth and efficient, and everything's going to be great. Well, it will if you have vision, leadership, and management that's actually backing up ITIL and pushing those ITIL objectives. ITIL is there to help us, and it is a management tool, but it is not a replacement for management. So, what is the bottom line? Well, ITIL is a framework that's used to make service management more efficient and effective. Those are the two words you're going to see come up a lot when we're talking about ITIL. That is really our end goal, is we want to take our service, we want to make it better, cheaper, faster, and more effective for our users. That's what it really comes down to.